Hello everyone, welcome back to Bytes Code. So in our last lesson, I promised you guys that we'll be starting to develop real life websites. But then I realized we haven't tackled more on CSS. So I'm going to create a series of lessons that is going to make our CSS foundation strong. So this first lesson is going to feature series of CSS lessons that is going to tackle CSS selectors, properties, values, unit, box layout, layout itself, and visual styling, and also responsive design. Alright, so to begin today's lesson, I would like us to talk about the CSS color codes. So, how many type of color codes do you have in CSS? The default type of color codes we have in CSS are four, with an additional of two. So you have the hexa code, you have the RGB values, you have the HSL values, and you have the color names itself. An additional of RGBA and HSLA. The A is an alpha for transparency. So an alpha channel which helps in transparency. So we are going to illustrate this in VS Code. Alright. So starting with hexa codes. So what are hexa codes? So hexa codes are the most commonly used color coding type in CSS. They consist of 6 characters, starting with a hashtag. The first two characters represent the red component, the next two represent the green component, and the last two represent the blue component. So an example is this. So starting with a hashtag, first to represent the red component, second to represent the green component, and last to represent the blue component. So together we have this as an example of a hexa code. The second is RGB values. So RGB values represent the red, green, and blue components of the color. We can use either decimal or percentage values. Decimal values ranges from 0 to 255, while percentage value ranges from 0% to 100%. So when we choose to use decimal values, it has a range from 0 to 255, and when we choose to use 100 percentage, it has a range from 0% to 100%. So before tackling RGB, let's first do example on hexa code. So let's open our VS Code. Mine is already open. So VS Code, and let's open our works that we saved in our folder. So let's create a header, and inside this header, let's create H1 and write your name inside. So byte, byte, yes. I almost forgot how to spell my name. All right. So with our CSS sheet already linked, open the CSS file and let's reference H1. Okay, so H1, and I said we are starting with the hexa color code. So color for the font color, and our first color is hashtag FF0000. Okay, so this is a red color. Let's open with live server. All right, let me make this a little bigger for you guys to see. Font size 200 pixel. Okay, so this is our color. Let's try to manipulate to see if it changes. So to manipulate this, just bring our cursor to the color display over there, and it shows the color panel. You can click. Oh, didn't work. So here, and all right, so we can drag across the bigger color panel to change our colors. So let me drag this a little bit to the green and save. Okay, so it changes. So this is how the hexa color codes are being represented in CSS. Okay, let's do the next one, which is RGB values. So RGB values, I said, they have representation of decimal value which ranges from 0 to a 255, or percentage value which ranges from 0% to 100%. So its format is like this. So starting with RGB, open bracket and a close bracket, you have 255, comma 0, comma 0. Okay, let's try out this color to see. So Visual Studio Code, where are you? Alright, so RGB 25500. Okay, so this is also a red. Let's change this 255 to something 197 and see 197. See what happens. It's a darker red, or yep. Let me change this to okay 197. Let me manipulate the last zero. Last zero to 89 and see what happens. Okay, let me add a little bit of green. 70%, 70. The color is just changing. So you can play around with these colors to see or to know what suits you for your design. Alright, let's move to the next color code, which is HSL value. So HSL value is similar to RGB value, but then its representation is from a 0 to a 360 degrees, or a 360, and its percentage is also the same. So HSL simply stands for hue, saturation, and lightness. So the hue ranges from 0 to a 360, the saturation ranges from 0 to 100%, and the lightness also ranges from 0 to 100%. So we can represent HSL by writing HSL. So our hue, which ranges from 0 to 360, let's pick 89, a saturation of 50%, and a lightness of 67%. Okay, cancel. Let's test out this color to see what you get. Just copied my color code. Straight to VS Code. So this is my color code right here. Paste. Alright. Yeah, I think I like this color. Let me save it down for later. I'll be using it in my design. Very nice color. So this is what we had. Okay, let's move to the last one, which is the color name. So color name simply means representing our color by its name. So that is quite easy. So color names, where are you? So color names, which is the last basic color, representing our color by its name. So you can have a red, you can have yellow, have this biscuit, probably that's French, I'm sure. Okay, so let me try out this color. just yeah, Control C to copy, and Control V to paste and save. All right, so this is my color right here. Okay, so the additional two colors I talked about. So if you look closely, you could see it's an RGB with a A, and the A here stands for the alpha channel, which is used for transparency. So RGB with a A stands for alpha channel, which is used for transparency, and HSL with a A, also alpha channel, which is used for transparency. And how are these colors represented? So in representation of these colors, let me just copy this and paste it here. All right, so the first channel here, or the first code we see here, is for our color red. The second is for green, and the third is for blue. So to add the alpha channel, which is A, we separate it by a comma, and we can have a transparency of 1 or a transparency of 0.5, depending on your choice. So this criteria here is now set for our alpha channel, which is for transparency. Let's try that. Let me manipulate this color a bit and see what I get. 80. Okay, let me copy this color and paste it in my VS Code. All right, so this is the color I had. I can change this. Okay, so let me show you how to get the transparency. When you hover your mouse on the color that is being displayed in the box on the left side, you get the color panel which opens, and the first one before our color array is for transparency. So the higher it goes, the more transparent our color becomes, and the lower it comes, the more less transparent our color becomes. Okay, so that is for manipulating our transparency. All right, so similar technique is used for HSLA. So HSLA has similar technique. So copy this, paste, and add our transparency 0.65. Let me manipulate this to 99, this to 57. VS Code. All right, so this is the color we had. Okay, so basically that is all for CSS color code. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson, and it's going to be a practical one as well. So a next practical lesson which is going to talk, or which is going to deal with selectors. So the next lesson we are going to talk about selectors, CSS selectors. So we're going to look at the type of selectors we have and how we can use each selector. So see you guys in the next video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any tutorial. Bye. Alright guys, so these are my social media platforms. So on GitHub it's Fortran Byte, on Facebook it's Byte, and on Instagram it's underscore Byte. So GitHub will be used to upload the files we use for our works. So I'm going to be posting all the files we use in our works. In case you want my code, want to compare my code to your code or to make corrections, I'm going to be uploading the files on GitHub. Aside that, if you want a one-on-one interaction, question and answers, or to follow up on my post, you can follow me or check my pages on Facebook and Instagram. You can also send any questions you have concerning web development to my Instagram page. Okay, see you in the next video.